Well, hello and welcome to Kennards Hire Rally Australia. We're here today to talk about the impending finale of the FIA World Rally Championship coming down to the New South Wales Coffs Coast on the 15th to the 18th of November. And here to tell us about what he expects about it and to join us in a very lively discussion, welcome Colin Clark, the voice of rally.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Chris.
It's nice to have you here in Australia briefly, and you're going to come back in November. At that time you'll be working for WRC All Live TV and helping to bring the whole show, every stage, live around the world.
Every stage, absolutely, and it's been a fantastic revelation this year, hasn't it? A new innovation in the World Rally Championship, and by the time we get to Australia, it'll be the first time that the finale to the World Rally Championship has been shown every stage live. That, you know, what we're hoping and what we're assuming will be a nail-biting finale. Every single stage, every moment, every bit of action and drama you'll be able to see live on, as you see, WRC All Live.
So it's a very tempting prospect for rally fans in Australia, and I dare say those fans of Hayden Paddon who are coming from New Zealand and fans from the rest of the world. So let's talk today about what people can expect at Kennards Hire Rally Australia and the Coffs Coast. We've got some fantastic features this year, the Destination New South Wales Super Special Stage, the Rally Special Stage, the Petters Rally Central Service Park at the International Stadium, and last but not least, of course, the Wedding Bells Power Stage, which will feature the finishing podium as well, right out there in the forest.
Well, you know what? I think that's what's really exciting about Rally Australia, and it's what Rally Australia, I suppose, has been known for, its ability to innovate. Nothing ever stays the same with Rally Australia. You look at what's good, you look at maybe where things can be improved every year, and it gets better and better and better. And as you say, this year, with the innovations you're talking about, in particular the fan experiences in the service park, out in the stages, you know, it is an improvement. It was good last year, it was good the year before. It is going to be a better rally this year.
And are you looking forward to the new ceremonial start and rally show down at the jetty this year, right beside the harbour, being relocated from the centre of Coffs Harbour, so down right beside the water, which is really what Coffs Harbour is all about.
You've almost got on the Coffs Coast an embarrassment of riches, haven't you? You've got some of the most spectacular scenery. You go inland a little bit, you've got the most spectacular forests. But the coast itself is just quite incredible. And as you say, you know, that setting there on the harbour is just a beautiful place to start a rally, and it will be spectacular. And again, those pictures will be beamed all around the world, and people will be able to see exactly what we get to enjoy every year when we come to Coffs Coast, which is that incredible setting. It's a small town, but my goodness me, it's a small town with a huge welcome and a huge appetite for rallying, and with all of those wonderful natural features that it's got. It's great to see it again being mixed up a little bit, to change things around, to make it a little different.
Well, you attend every round of the World Rally Championship. You've recently been in Turkey.
Yeah.
You'll be going very soon to your home event, Rally Great Britain. But tell us what the atmosphere is like, what fans can expect when they go to the rally show and the ceremonial start. That is an opportunity, isn't it, for people to get really up and close to rally drivers and world rally cars in a way that you wouldn't in Formula One or most international series.
Well, do you know what? You look at the likes of Formula One and to some degrees maybe MotoGP that a lot of Australian motorsport fans will associate or will recognise, and it's you know, those sports that the drivers are almost kept separate from the fans, whereas rallying is completely different. Rally drivers are very much off the people, aren't they? And that ceremonial start that we'll have is a great opportunity for the locals, for the fans, for people coming to Coffs Harbour to meet the drivers. There'll be an autograph session, so you'll bring along your merchandise, bring along your flags and your posters, get them signed by the drivers. And the drivers have always got time for fans. And I think that's really what sets rallying drivers apart from perhaps other drivers in Formula One, MotoGP, those kind of motorsport disciplines, is that they are very approachable and they do appreciate the support. You know, they do talk about it. Most of my work is done at stage ends, and you'll very often hear drivers talking about the fans in the stages when they get to the stage ends. They appreciate the support, they appreciate the fact that people do turn up to come and say hello to them and to offer encouragement and to support them in the stages.
Well, WRC do appreciate the fans, as you say, but I guess on this occasion there's going to be something else on their mind on the Thursday when they're at the rally show. They'll be dying to get into those stages.
Well, they always are. You know, Australia is a great finale to the year. Everyone loves coming to Australia. Okay, it's a different time zone, takes a little bit of adjusting to, but when you're here, when you're settled in, it is a great place to go rallying. You know, we have the most incredible setup with the service park now. in Coffs Harbour. The stages themselves are amongst the best in the world for spectacle, for competition, for challenge, the real challenging stages as well. And everyone enjoys it. Everyone enjoys coming out here, and it is always good to see the numbers of spectators each year getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's because the rally listens and puts on these fan zones within the stages, spectator zones, within the service park. There's so much more going on now. It's a proper day out Rally Australia for the fans, and I think everyone appreciates that.
Well, moving just a few hundred metres along from the ceremonial start, of course, on Friday and Saturday evening, we have the Destination New South Wales Super Special Stage. Surely a unique location right beside not only the harbour but the Pacific Ocean. It runs between the two. Some new features this year, Colin.
Oh.
The berm is no longer there, the Coppin Top is no longer there, but we will have a second jump, and we will also have a water splash right in front of the spectators.
I think, and again, it just goes back to what I've been saying over the last 5 or 10 minutes, always looking to mix things up, to change things, to make it that little more exciting and dramatic. The first year, it wasn't actually the first year, but a couple of years ago when we were down at the waterfront there for the Super Special, the introduction of that jump, and it was a very innovative jump because it was a jump that was designed to wow the fans, but also to wow the photographers. And some of the pictures that came out from that jump, it looked literally as if the cars, these incredible, well, it'll be close to $1 million cars, were jumping onto the beach. And then last year, as you say, we had that berm, and this year, a different jump and a different water splash. It really does make it definitely a place to go during the rally weekend.
And a lively atmosphere, because you could walk out of the Super Special Stage at 7:30 p.m. having seen the world's fastest rally drivers and the world's fastest rally cars in action, and walk a couple of hundred metres up the street and go to dinner in the Jetty Precinct, where you've got a selection of fantastic restaurants.
Fantastic food, and you can always get an Aussie beer if you want a beer at the end of the day. If we get the kind of weather we've seen over the last few years where it can touch 30 odd degrees, it's always nice just to have a little cold beer at the end of the day. But as you say, there are some great restaurants around there. I've always enjoyed coming to Coffs Harbour because it does have that variety of restaurants and experiences for everyone. And that's what makes a rally weekend. It's not like, say, going to a Formula One event where you go to the circuit, you watch whatever it might be, the warm-up races, you watch the race and you go home. You are there within the community for 3 or 4 days. It's the same for the spectators. You are within the rally community for 3 or 4 days, and having those restaurants, having the coffee shops, having the wonderful little places around Bellingen, for example. I stayed in Bellingen a couple of years ago, which is all part of the wonderful Coffs Coast, and to discover these little places and to be made to feel welcome. We go to, is it Bowraville? It is Bowraville, isn't it? Every year. I think we're going back there this year.
Yes,
In fact, we are. You go down Bowraville High Street, and every single shop, cafe, bar, restaurant, hairdressers, they've got window displays with rally cars in them. And it's just a bit different, it's a bit special. It makes you feel as if you're wanted, which is great.
Every Rally Australia visit, therefore, is either like a mini holiday or a series of day trips.
A lot of people might suggest it's a mini holiday, and it is. You combine the two, don't you? You combine your passion for rallying, whether you're working, whether you're spectating, whether you're driving, your passion for rallying with the ability to go out and see a different part of the world.
Let's talk about the 2018 itinerary and the fact that nearly every stage on the event has been changed. I think there's only one stage that's stayed the same, but the organisers have listened to some of the feedback from competitors and from fans, and it's a heavily revised itinerary this year with some new challenges for drivers, which they always love, don't they?
They do, and we go back to, the World Rally Championship continually evolves in terms of the calendar and the rallies that make up the championship. And as you mentioned earlier, we went to Turkey just a few weeks ago, and that was new to the calendar. But the mainstays of the championship, and Rally Australia is very much a mainstay. They do have to change things to make it a little bit different. And splitting stages, reversing stages, introducing new stages, just reintroduces that element of challenge for the drivers. Remember, rallying, it's very much, the drivers can't just turn up weeks in advance and go round and round the stages. You have your 2 passes on recce where you get to look at the stages, and then you're in for the event itself. But they do get to know the stages well, and just changing things as they've done this year levels things out a bit, so the less experienced drivers maybe will feel they've got more of a chance, and it just makes it that little bit more interesting by mixing it up.
On Saturday, the famous Nambucca stage
Yeah.
has been reversed this year and divided into two parts. The same roads with a short liaison stage between them. So the guys are going to be using the same roads, but they're going to be running in the opposite direction.
Yeah, and you know, Nambucca is one of those, Hayden Paddon, who's obviously one of the biggest names in rallying in this part of the world, the Kiwi driver, one of his favourite stages in the world. It was always one of the biggest challenges, literally one of the biggest challenges of the championship. 54 kilometres, I think, in its longest format.
It was 54 kilometres. Now it'll be two shorter stages.
Yeah, and you know, two stages, a little bit less of a challenge. Well, maybe not. You know, again, it'll require the drivers to think about it. The biggest challenge for Nambucca was always tyre wear. You know, and again, it introduced an element of strategy. Drivers have to really think about how they approach that stage. Splitting it in two, they will still have to think about it, but they'll have that little bit of time in the middle where they can maybe think about whether their strategy is working, whether they have to revise their strategy. It'll still be an enormous challenge, no question about that.
And the other great attraction on Saturday are two passes around the Rally Super Special Stage, which is just 15 minutes from the city, just an easy drive down the highway, an amphitheatre style of environment there, a great place for spectators.
Wow. Raceway they call it, don't they?
They're correct.
You know what, remember I first went there a couple of years ago and was struck by really how representative it is. Okay, it's on tarmac, or bits of it are on tarmac, bits of it are on gravel. But my goodness me, you see pace, there are some tight corners, there are some very fast corners, and it doesn't really matter where you sit around that track. You can see the whole of the track.
You see everything.
You see everything, and it's a wonderful place to go. It's nice and easy to get into. There's plenty of parking, and this year, you know, you could actually make a whole day out of that. You can sit there all day, take your picnic, you see the cars in front of you twice during the day. I think it's run twice, isn't it, this
correct.
year? And they'll have the big screens. And as we mentioned earlier on, every single stage on Saturday will be live on WRC All Live. So you can go along to that, buy your tickets, set your picnic up, watch the cars, go and see the drivers before the stage starts. A fantastic addition, really, this year with the screens, with the two runnings. Fantastic addition.
So let's move on quickly to the two final points that we wanted to talk about. Firstly, the Wedding Bells Power Stage on Sunday, the end of the event, the end of the season, and the podium presentation right in front of it. And then I quickly also want to mention Kennards Rally Central, which is the competitive service park at the International Stadium this year.
You know, the power stage has always been good in the Wedding Bells Forest because it's a spectacular place to run a live stage. But this jump that's been introduced, and you know what, you talk to a lot of spectators, a lot of fans, a lot of drivers about rallies, and quite often rallies are defined by the jumps. When we talk about Portugal, we have to talk about the Faf jump. When we talk about Finland, we talk about Onimpoja and the Yellow House jump. This jump in the Wedding Bells Forest has the potential to become a legendary jump. It really does. It is enormous, and it will be spectacular, and it is a great way to finish the rally.
Now, Colin, that's outside the New South Wales Forest Rally Village. It's actually the same jump, but the cars are running the other way, and when they come across the crest this time, the road falls away further, so they'll be going faster and further.
It'll be enormous. It'll be absolutely enormous, and as I say, people will be talking about it, I think, for quite some time.
And Kennards Rally Central, that is the place you want to go if you want to see the cars, the stars, buy a souvenir, have a drink, have something to eat, go to the end of day, meet the crews, conferences, do everything there. That's really where you get up close to a rally, isn't it?
Really accessible, plenty of parking. The drivers, the teams are accessible. You can watch the servicing, which is always, if you've never watched a rally service before, fantastic to see how that works. If you're lucky and there's a bit of damage on one of the cars, you will see the best engineers, the best mechanics in the world, best drivers in the world in the stages, the best engineers and mechanics in the world in the service park. Watch them doing their work, because that's something.
Well, the service break, of course, is a race within a race, isn't it? They're limited to 30 minutes for the midday service, and if they come in with a wheel hanging off or a gearbox that's not working, they've got half an hour to do that, to get their crew and their car back. And
you would be astonished at times as well how much they can do in that 30 minutes.
Indeed.
Astonished at how much you can do.
Indeed. Did I see on a recent event, was it Finland or Germany, where one of the teams changed a gearbox and front end in a half an hour?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's you know, it is just about doable. But you know, when they're doing a normal standard service, it's all calm, it's all very relaxed. You wait until they have to do something like that, and you see them working, and it is just. You know, you think, well, I put my car into the local garage. It takes them 3 days to do that sort of work. They'll do it in 30 minutes in the service park.
Well, thank you, Colin Clark, Voice of Rally. We look forward to having you back with us to talk again about some of the exciting attractions coming up for Kennards Hire Rally Australia.
Well, it's been my absolute pleasure, Chris. Thank you very much. And don't forget, get your tickets for this year's Kennards Hire Rally Australia at rallyaustralia.com.au.